do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
This episode of Living Legends podcast is brought to you by FAB Foundry. And you can make sure you get 10% off your order if you use the Living Legend 10 discount code when ordering any of the new Heavy Hitters set. And let's be honest, you're going to want to get your hands, your one hand even, on all of this fantastic product, because let's be honest, you want to play me, KO, and I hit like a effing truck.
Welcome, everyone, to a slightly delayed episode of the Living Legends podcast. Very slightly, but it's because of exciting things. Everybody except for me was off in mysterious, wonderful lands doing mysterious, wonderful things. I guess we'll start off. Who am I? I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders and from the Living Legends podcast. 1/3 of the Living Legends podcast, as is noted on my social media profiles. Who are the other 2/3, you may ask? Well, let's kick it off alphabetical style. We'll start off with introducing Azz.
That's right, yeah. So I'm Azz from Go Again Gaming and 1/3 Living Legends podcast as portrayed on my social media profile. It's been delayed because of me and Kel. Kel's been in Japan. I've been in USA, New York, and Hartford. We've both been there for differing reasons as such. But yeah, we're back, although slightly delayed, and we're going to be speaking about heavy hitters in general and our sort of thoughts on it now that we've had a little bit more time with it, I'd say. But yeah.
Yeah.
The other third.
Hello.
The other third, we also have Kel, who's additionally known as Red Zone Rogue, who is international traveler. I mean, so is Azz, but you know.
Yeah.
He's got his passport in time for Japan, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. Technically, I have a 90-day, I don't know what you call it, visa. It's not technically a visa, but I have a 90-day pass for Japan landing permit or whatever, so I can go back to Japan if I want in the next couple months. But hello, yeah, my name is Kel, and I'm excited to talk about heavy hitters and journeys and all that kind of good stuff, because I actually did play some Flesh and Blood in Japan, so I do have some insights into that and kind of the Flesh and Blood scene in Japan in general. It's actually quite interesting. The card gaming culture in Japan is fascinating and amazing, and I'm gonna talk about it today. So yeah.
I mean that's what I've heard. So
yeah, I was just gonna go off the back of that because there was a video on the Flesh and Blood Japan Twitter, I think it was, where I saw it, where Yui was speaking to James about the release in Japan. So that is coming soon, isn't it? The localized language, I believe.
Yeah, like May, something like that. April,
yeah, May, June, something like that. Yeah. So I know we're all going to be wanting to get our hands on some of those beautiful cards. That's for sure.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to get some. I want to get some history pack
for Japanese cards.
Yeah, give me some like Japanese history pack 1. Hell yeah, dude. That's where you get like your Japanese Easter eggs and Japanese Command and Conquers, Fiendel Spring Tunic. Oh, that's the spice, man.
Yeah. I very desperately want a playset of foil Japanese Easter eggs.
Oh, me too.
That would be very, very good for me and bad for my wallet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I guess I can, since we're talking about it, I can jump into just a little bit. So, Flesh and Blood's not really big in Japan yet, at least in Tokyo. I talked to Yui, I talked to some store owners. Magic also is not very big at all. So the way that I understand it, after talking to a lot of folks in Japan, you have the most popular card games are, as you'd guess, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Duel Masters. Those are actually the 3 most popular card games. And then after that, it's Shadowverse Evolve. And then after that, it's like Card Fight Vanguard and everything else, right? And then your Western card games are way down the list, and Magic is not even in like the top 5. So Flesh and Blood's like even lower than that. However, I did come across a couple shops in Akihabara that did have Flesh and Blood. It's about the same number of shops that had Magic, to be honest, and which is not very much. You go in and it's mostly like Weiss Schwarz, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all of that kind of stuff, and a lot of Shadowverse and that kind of stuff as well. But it was really cool to go into a store and be like, oh, look, there's a Dusk Till Dawn poster, or oh, there's some Dragon Shield Flesh and Blood sleeves. Yui and I, she found a place that did do Flesh and Blood. It was mostly Flesh and Blood and Magic, and that was pretty cool. They had a bunch of Flesh and Blood stuff. You'll see it in my vlog, because he gave permission for me to film in the store, which is also another thing that is very unlike the US here. You're not allowed to film in a lot of places. Some people do it anyway, but I'm not rude, and I obeyed, the rules. So I got permission to do that. So yeah, the Flesh and Blood presence was interesting. Small, but the people that I didn't meet who played Flesh and Blood are like really passionate. I posted about it on Twitter. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking, but someone on Twitter, I forget their handle, but they made like a guidebook for Flesh and Blood in Japanese that has like all of the sets broken down, all the mechanics broken down, hero matchups, like everything you'd want to know. It's super, super freaking cool. And it's like a ton of work and a ton of effort with like pictures and everything. And that's the kind of stuff that really helps localize the community, especially a community that doesn't speak the language. Because I'll be honest, man, like, when's the last time that anyone out there played a game entirely in a language that you do not speak? I'm going to guess like less than like 3% of the people listening to this, because I'm a diehard card game player and I've never fully played a TCG that is not in the language I don't speak, right? I've bought and collected cards in Japanese, but I've never fully played like a Japanese card game in Japanese without English. So that's a lot of passion and effort, and I thought it was super, super cool. I'm trying to find the person on Twitter because I really want to give them a shout out. It was an amazing effort. Pero D is their Twitter handle. Yeah, it's nice. Super good work. It's super cool for the video people. Here's kind of you can't really see it from the glare. Not gonna focus, but it's really cool. I showed off in the vlog, but I also tweeted about it. So
yeah. It's good to see their like sleeves and posters and that popping up on the shop walls. Though it just goes to show, like, brings it down to earth that Flesh and Blood is penetrating everywhere, even though it's not huge over there. It will be when the localization comes out, I'm sure. A lot more people pick it up.
I mean, that's got to be a pretty decent barrier right now for them. Is just that it doesn't exist in their native language.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you were saying, Kel, it would be difficult for a fully Japanese card game to take off in non-Japanese areas.
Yeah,
just by default.
And I do have to say the TCG market, the TCG players in Japan, it's wild, dude. There's like, it's crazy. Like I mentioned it a lot in the videos, but in Akihabara, there are shops that are just stacked and stacked on top of each other, like multiple different shops on top of each other. So you'd hit a shop, go up the next door, there's a shop. They're all packed, like absolutely jam effing packed, wall to wall with people. There's like, we went to a place called Dragon Star, and I bought some sleeves of Dragon Star, and Igni ended up buying a couple boxes of Shadowverse Evolve. But there was like 8 staff members running around grabbing singles. I had never seen anything like it. You go to a card store here in the US, there's like one dude behind the counter. That's it. Like, it's wild. It's like people go nuts for card games in Japan. And there was like card stores everywhere. Like in Radio Kaikon, this massive building that just has a ton of hobby stores, including like Ami and a really, really awesome like tabletop store called Yellow Submarine. I'm a big fan of Yellow Submarine now. It's a really cool store. Just tons of board games and tabletop stuff. It was awesome. But there's just tons and tons of TCG stores too, like just everywhere. Most of them had the games that I mentioned. A few had Magic. One store had Magic that had Power. Like they had like Black Lotus and a bunch of others. So I was very impressed with that. I was like, holy crap. and I really wanted to splurge and buy a Japanese pack of Urza's Saga, but two things prevented me. One, it was very expensive, and two, the language barrier. I don't know how that I was gonna be like, Sumimasen, Urza's Saga, please. But yeah,
Sounds good though.
it's wild. Just the passion and everything is crazy. Card games are big in Japan, at least where I went in Tokyo. And the stores, I should also say this too, the stores are way different. There's singles everywhere. So there's just like these giant glass containers of singles, and that's what most of the stores are, just rows and rows of those, and people just kind of like walking up and down. Very little sealed product. In fact, I heard that most stores don't really sell sealed product, and most Japanese players don't really buy sealed product. In fact, a lot of stores sell sealed product at a loss, just to get like people in and all that kind of stuff, and most of the profits come from singles. So it was actually very hard to get like packs and stuff. Though the Flesh and Blood place that I went to, they had a bunch of packs and sealed stuff. But from what I learned, it's mostly like a singles thing, which is also a little bit different here in the West, because a lot of people are just like, I'm gonna buy, like us, like Bill and I, we'll talk about later, like
Buy a whole box.
I'm gonna buy like 3 cases or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's because we're stupid over here. They're not.
Yeah.
Well,
we just buy for buying's sake, and they just get everything they need.
yeah.
The singles they need. Which is
So
what you should be doing, really.
I mean, that's how. Well, for some games, my purchasing is gonna shift to that, but yeah, that's kind of my general TCG experience in Japan. It's crazy, and seeing a little bit of Flesh and Blood was kind of cool. Every time I'd see it, I'd be like, oh, Flesh and Blood, yo, let's go.
Yeah.
Few and far between, but it was still cool to see it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, be interesting to see. Like, I would say when you go back there, how much that's changed with the localization. Because when I spoke to the shop owner in France, when the French product came out for them, there was a huge spike. And it is difficult, right, to even pick up or see interest in a game that you don't even speak the language of. I wouldn't take a second look at something if I couldn't understand the rules. So yeah, it's going to make a massive difference. I can't wait to see how it picks up over there for sure.
Yeah, I don't have any immediate plans, but I would say there's like almost a guaranteed chance I go back to Japan at some point.
Oh yeah.
I haven't talked about the event yet, but the event that I did casting for, Shadowverse Evolved Worlds, went very well, and I heard that both Bushiroad and Sai Games were very, very happy with our stream. In fact, our stream had more viewers than the Vanguard and the Weiss Schwartz streams, and there's probably a non-zero chance that they ask me to do stuff again, which I would immediately jump at the chance to. So
yeah, good
Yeah,
work.
that'd be really sick.
yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I also another small like tangent. It was after the event. The CEO of Bushiroad International, his name is Shunichi. He was over like standing over there, and I was like standing with Igni, and I was like, oh man, I really want to go introduce myself and say hi to him. But I don't want to embarrass myself because I don't speak Japanese or anything. And he was like, oh dude, he speaks perfect English. Come on. And so like we went over there, we just chatted for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, I don't know, whatever. And now the CEO of Bushiroad International like follows me on Twitter. So good networking there.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. Also learned, by the way, shout out, tip for anyone going to Japan on like business related stuff where you're going to meet people that you're going to be working with. Everyone has business cards. I heard about this. I wasn't sure if it was still true. Everyone has business cards, and they will give you business cards. Like, do I have one? I'm not going to show you their name or anything, but one of the cool ones I got one from a guy from Sai Games here. Apparently, Sai Games is not here, but Sai Games in Japan. Sai Games is like huge, much bigger than like Bushiroad or anything, because they're the ones who make Grand Blue and Shadowverse and Uma Musume, a ton of stuff. So I got a Sai Games one, but
Yeah, there's a whole etiquette thing around business cards as well.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
you're expected to, if you receive a business card from somebody, they'll hand it to you with 2 hands, and you have to grab it with 2 hands and then look at it as though you're like considering it, like that you're giving it
Yeah.
enough attention, and then you like put it away safely somewhere before you move on to doing something else with your interaction.
So
Yeah.
It's
two
very important.
two of the business cards that I got were like really cool. Once again, I won't show the first side because I don't know if like doxing or whatever, but this one is a Shadowverse card, but on the other side it's like a legit business card. So they have just the actual Shadowverse card back, and then the other side's a business card. And then
That's really
I
sick.
met up with Sitsakris from Grand Archive. He was there doing work and stuff. We spent a day together, and his business card is also a Grand Archive card, but on the front, I'll cover it up a little bit. It's like an actual card with like foiling and art and stuff. It's like the coolest business card I have ever seen. I was really, it's got like raised lettering on it. I'm like, dude, holy crap.
All I can think of now is the American Psycho scene where they're comparing business cards.
Yeah. It's got a
So-
watermark.
It's got a watermark. Oh my god.
Yeah, so when I go back to Japan, I want to get some like cool business cards in this vein made, with my card back. I'm basically just going to be trading cards because so many people gave me business cards that are trading cards. I was like,
Makes sense.
that's perfect. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's really sick. That's a
yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. And I also noticed it's not uncommon to, so this is a card. I can show this one because it's from the hotel. One of the hotels I stayed at had these business cards with like their anime girl mascot character on it. And it's just like, just a thing. So I was like, what? It wouldn't be weird to have like Katsumi on my business card. It'd be totally fine. So I'm going to make a cool business card when I go back to Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, as far as I know, in Japan, and for anybody who lives in Japan and this is incorrect, please correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, there are plenty of businesses in Japan that just have like an anime girl mascot. It's just it's just par for the course.
Anime girl mascots or like cute animal mascots. You see a lot of those.
Yes.
Yeah, like little
Most
like
things have a mascot of some variety.
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
every prefecture in Japan has like a mascot for that area, doesn't it, or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like Kumamon.
Well, I think there's like because I watch a lot of abroad in Japan. We're well on the tangent today, but this is what happens when we all take a break for a few days. We just speak about Japan for half an hour. But apparently there's a mascot for one of the prefectures, which is basically an airport runway.
Yeah.
That is the mascot, just a runway.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, but it's
Runway Chan. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's
but yeah,
good.
if you know the abroad in Japan episode, leave a comment in the section below because I watch a lot of it, and it's that's where I get all my Japan knowledge from, the British sarcasm side of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that seems good. Look forward to the vlog. So what did you do over there with Flesh and Blood? You met up with Yui and played some games, did you? Or
Yeah. So oddly enough, I went there for Shadowverse Evolve. Great time with like the Bushiro team and all that kind of stuff. But it was interesting that I had 3 days that were like, one of them was for Shadowverse, one of them was like more for Grand Archive, though it was also like, hanging out with Sitsakris and Igni, and we went to the Final Fantasy Cafe, yada yada. You can see all this in my vlog. And then the second, my final day was with Yui, and doing like Flesh and Blood, a little bit of Magic too, because she's really big into Magic. But yeah, so I had like fun. I spent a week in Japan, and I still made time to hit all of the main games that I cover. Shadowverse, Grand Archive, and Flesh and Blood. Grand Archive doesn't really exist there yet. I've heard some things. I'm not, but it doesn't exist there yet. And then Flesh and Blood obviously is up and coming there. So yeah, I can actually see it. If you want to talk about like Flesh and Blood in particular, I can actually see it being a little bit more popular. It might have I'm going to be curious to see how it does versus Magic. It basically is where I'm coming at. I'm not sure if it's going to beat out any of the Japanese games like, Shadowverse or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that. But versus Magic, it's interesting because Magic isn't very popular in Japan. And I heard rumblings from the store owner that we talked to that there's like no events in Japan this year, like no Magic events, like no Magic Fests or anything. So if Flesh and Blood has those and Magic does not have those, then, that's a clear leg up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the calling Tokyo or somewhere.
I know
Yeah.
this is not any insider information, but I have a sneaking suspicion that they want Worlds to be in Japan this year.
Yeah.
I just have this feeling that that's what they're setting up for, or at least they want to. So I don't know, we'll see. Calling it now, but Worlds in either Osaka or Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like-
think on this video that I saw on Twitter, I mean, James did say there's a lot of things coming to Japan with callings and stuff, and then he said, some other things too.
Yeah,
So I don't know what he was getting at there, but
the two. Well, so I think we already know that there's going to be callings in Japan. I think they might have announced that at one point where they're doing their whole roadmap or whatever. But I suspect Worlds in Japan, and I suspect if they do another celebration, I'll have a feeling that might also kind of be in Japan. Those make a lot of sense to me. So,
yeah. Well, we will see how that goes because obviously the localization is coming very soon.
Yes.
It's
really, again, personally looking forward to that quite a bit.
it is my.
I just hope there's like hero marvels that are like anime style or something.
Oh.
You know, that would be.
I don't know.
That would be sick.
Maybe.
Like history pack Japan, but with like anime marvels or something along those
Like
lines.
alternate.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
alternate art ones would be like banging. I don't know if we'll do that, but that would make
it would
all
be
the
like the War of the Spark for anybody who, again, anybody who plays Magic and remembers War of the Spark. They had alternate art planeswalkers that were done in like very anime cutesy style, and they were extremely popular.
Can't wait to see the discourse of all the Flesh and Blood anime haters if that ever happens. Because as someone who covers anime card games and Flesh and Blood card games, I've run across a good number of anime haters, like that are Flesh and Blood players. So
the thing is, though, if they're doing their whole localization product, that region like that style, right? So it's not going to hurt to put it in that product if the West or whoever doesn't like it.
People are going to complain no matter what. It's the internet, man.
Oh yeah.
People are going to complain about anime boobies no matter what. They're going to see them and they're going to be like, I'm going to complain on Twitter. I'm going to go on Twitter and complain. But
well, I would love to see something like that because that would make me buy boxes for the hope of pulling something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying Japanese Flesh and Blood, like no matter what, like either way.
Regardless.
I'm just gonna. It's gonna happen. I gotta find out how to get some. Like the most affordable way to get some. We'll see, but I'm definitely gonna get some. There was another thing I was gonna mention. I don't remember. In any case.
But I've been traveling as well this last week. So my trip was for basically just a Flesh and Blood trip. So that was going to the calling in Hartford, which was awesome. You know, it was. I did a whole couple of days in New York beforehand. I tried to vlog as much of it as I can, but towards the third day, I'd had so much drink and stuff that I was just like.
I was gonna say you said it was for Flesh and Blood, but judging by your Twitter, it was like a drinking trip, right?
It pretty much is the whole time these days. Because the reason I chose Hartford was because there's a lot of East Coast people that I hadn't seen yet, that I wanted on that side of the world, and glad I did because it was epic. Got to see and speak to a lot of people which I hadn't done yet, and that's the whole reason I'm in this game, is to sort of meet people and have fun, just like we do on the Living Legends podcast every week.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I played in quite a few events over there. Played in 3 sealed events, and one of my sort of favourite memories was actually playing around a red down but not out. So obviously that's the one that comes in for 8 overpower and on hit get all the things. And I was actually meticulously sort of blocking here and letting my armor go down there, and not creating tokens because they had more than me to then try and hit them with that. And it was absolutely outrageous when I finally managed to get it off. Because it's one of those games where I was just on the back foot the whole time, and I was just like taking this damage here and there and blocking where I could and making sure I was set up for that big crackback. And then when that crackback happened, I stole the tempo because he'd been wearing out of all of his good cards while I was just blocking with my rubbish ones. So yeah, that was a great experience. Just actually being able to play that in limited. There it is, the red one was just a great experience. So that's one of my favorite things of the weekend. Great card. Not sure whether you've had any experiences playing it yet, but it feels good to do so.
No, this is a foil red one that I opened up in Japan. This is probably the best card that I opened while I was there. So
No, is the blood foiled on that one? Is that blood behind the bloke? Is it?
No, but like
Or is it his cape?
Like it's his cape and like the spears in the foreground are foiled, and his armor is, but not the blood.
Oh, some of the falling in this set as well is great. I mean, I've got the judge, jury, executioner art behind me today, although I'm covering Azalea's face, which is a sin in itself.
Sacrilege.
But on the card art for the rainbow foil, which I got recently because they sent out the spoiler packages finally. The red blood is all foil and it looks absolutely sick. So yeah, really enjoying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the spoiler stuff came recently as well, didn't it?
Yeah, did you all get the boast too?
Yes.
Yeah,
The cold foil
Yeah,
promo
big fan of
boast.
absolutely.
Big fan of the mat with the boast art on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's successfully gone in my pile of spoiler cards and promos and stuff.
Promo pile.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this pile of cards because it's like it's a nice quick trip back to the very beginning of us getting support from Legend Story Studios. And actually that pile that I just showed is technically not accurate. This is the amount. They're all in top loaders. But this is the amount. There are some extra things. There's my extra Heart of Fjendel that I just keep in my desk drawer, as well as this this alpha like is it like a playtest card or something that Kel gave me for sorcery?
That thing's probably worth like some money. Like
yeah.
yeah, that one's that's a
retirement fund.
What is it called? A sample pack card. That's a sample card.
Sample pack card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that people couldn't get access to that Kel got because he was an early adopter of sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of sits there. Just reminds me of how good life can be. So, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got one of those boxes as well. Like the boxes that, you know, like for like full of Christmas cards and other bits that we've got from other creators. Like I think I've got one of your Spike Feeders little enamel things in there. I've got one of your cards, Kel, one of your pins as well. Was it a pin? The Red Zone Rogue thing.
The metal token thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have a box of trinkets, don't you? Memories and what have you.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I played quite a lot of Flesh and Blood over the weekend. Really like this set. Really like it. Want to play more limited. So I can't wait to do this this ultimate pit fight situation. I don't know how that's going to go down, but would we allocate different heroes to each other, or how would we do that?
Maybe. I'm not sure how we want to do it. We'll discuss it, but I'm really excited for it just because it'll be my first time playing heavy hitters. I've opened up a box now, but I haven't actually played with the cards yet, so I'm actually really looking forward to it. It looks really fun, and yeah. I probably in the next week or so I'll try to plan it out. Yeah. We got some people on crew. We got if Az and Bill here are down, and then we have potentially Deem Armada, Ian Kenderdine, and Jim from FABTCG cards, and then we're gonna rule 0 the arena in play, so you can attack anyone.
Yeah.
And then if you kill someone, you get gold. Like it's gonna be sick, dude.
It's gonna be great. Yeah.
And like I'm just normally you're like, oh, I'll try to keep it to like a 4-player game. Out of all the people that I mentioned, if everyone wants to go, I'm gonna be like, let's do it, and they just have a massive, like 6-player free for all where you can just attack anyone, and yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Not?
It'll be fun, and then when you kill someone, you get like 5 gold.
5 gold.
Yeah, because you get it based on the number of people who started the game.
Oh Jesus!
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then somebody can play a wizard of some variety in like a really big UPF game, and they can play Aether Arc and get like 6 ponders if everybody's just like, whatever, who cares?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that card's in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you're able to make more than 4, it becomes what's the card that I'm thinking of? The 2-cost blue that attacks for 4. That
and
Pursuit of Knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes pursuit of knowledge for each individual or for each additional ponder token you get. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You need to like pump it up to like 4 arcane damage to everyone's, because like most people are on just gonna run AB3 just so you can draw like a crap load of cards at the end. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been really liking
but,
this. I've been really liking this set so far, though. It's just like I was thinking of Olympia stuff the other day because clearly I like that hero, and I was thinking of the vigor mechanic. So obviously vigor is if you get the vigor, you cracks at the start of your turn, and then you get resources. So I was thinking the gold that Olympia accrues, if you have enough vigor, you can just draw a card for nothing. So I was thinking that vigor and gold could actually work quite well together, because you could basically just draw extra cards with the vigor that you've created the turn before, with things like the blood spill as well, the grains of blood spill, pumping extra resources into getting extra vigor tokens. So then you can just draw a card for free on your next turn. Could make it pretty good. So maybe gold is actually the payoff, as we said all along. Although James did say that there is something else coming for Olympia, because he was changed last minute, wasn't he? Apparently he was changed to because there was a warrior that forced blocks or something, like a sort of like a taunting-esque hero that forced blocks. I reckon that could have been quite cool, but I guess forcing blocks like a T-bone style effect.
Yeah, T-bone or like pulse wave harpoon. If you were able to do that like consistently, I could see that not being super fun to play against.
Not been fun. Yeah.
So you said you played several sealed Azz. Which heroes did you play for the sealed games?
So I played KO on the very first one, because it was the first time really opening the cards and playing with them. So I thought, I'm just going to use KO here, because obviously all the 5s are then 6s for his thing, and seems to be the most consistent if you've got a bit of a pile. And that was my first game. So I did actually lose my first game. And after that, I didn't play. I didn't play in that. That was a Ravenous Rabble side event. So I played it, got the thing. I lost, so I just went to go and chill out at the Realm Games booth and got a free playmat from them. Cheers Realm Games. But yeah, the second one I played as Olympia, and I actually won that game, and it was an Olympia mirror match as well. This is where this idea came to me of, if I can get vigor tokens, it means that I might be able to draw an extra card each turn, because I had a lot of those vigors in my pool, like Clash with Vigor and the other vigor cards. And it happened to me once where I had vigor floating. I was like, oh right, I can draw a card now for free. And that just really helped that game. And then in the last game I was playing Kasai, and that was against an Olympia. On the third event I played Kasai against. I only played one game in each event, because I got the rabble and then went and did other things basically. I'm not really there for the ticket grinding and all this. So I just got my promo for my friend and then went and hung out with other people. But then I played Kasai in the last game, which again was the more sort of value orientated warrior. She just does good things, and that's the game where I was talking about earlier with the down but not out, where I was on the defense the whole time, and then I just managed to set up the red down but not out, and it really swung it for me, which is nice.
Card sick, dude.
So yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's great. It feels good when you get it off as well. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I want to play more, but yeah, it's just getting around to it. Maybe you could set up a stream or something where we play sealed heavy hitters again, because I would love to do more of it.
Yeah, I'd be down. I only bought one case. I opened up one box from it, but I do have like a spare box that I'm going to be using just for sealed stuff. So that's like
nice
4 games of sealed. So yeah,
just do a round robin or whatever, switcheroo situation. But that being said, obviously I can't play much sealed because there isn't really a local game store in my area. But that being said, someone randomly reached out to me on Twitter today and said, my brother met you at the Calling in Birmingham last year, and we're all from Swindon, UK.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like, what? So yeah, we might actually have, including me, 4 players to actually start something in Swindon town. So we're on
Yeah,
our
dude.
way to a battle hardened now. The battle
Yeah.
hardened Swindon. Even though if you're already from Swindon, you're battle hardened anyway. So
Yeah.
Calling
have to be.
Swindon 17
calling
people.
here we go. 17 people.
Yeah.
PTIs to the top 16. Only one person can't get in.
Yeah. Get out of here, Mickey. You suck. Like,
You suck. Get out of here.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah. So what else did I do?
Yeah.
I played in the battle hardened as well. So that was entirely. I played in the calling as well. Didn't do very well on that because that's just. I can't even remember what happened in that. Because I was really drunk from the night before. I just turned up, got the runner and the majestic promos. Lost horrendously, and then just dropped and just drank a lot of water that day, basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. As
Yeah,
Bill
that
has
sounds-
experienced before.
That sounds
Yeah.
about right. Yeah, like when we were in
Sounds about right.
Barcelona and you were doing this. I think it was the night that you did the impromptu stream until like I think it was like
5 a.m..
6 in the morning. Yeah, 5 or
Yeah.
6 a.m. It might have been. Yeah, it was 5.
Oh, man.
And then you woke up to go to the battle
hardened Living Legend, wasn't
it
it?
was the battle hardened. Yeah, it was the Living Legends battle hardened for 9.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
You were still drunk.
I was steaming, mate.
The same
Absolutely.
thing literally happened at the previous Worlds in San Jose. I remember, like,
Oh, of course, yeah.
yeah. You just, immediately dropped from the calling because you're up too late,
That's right.
Part
And then I
of the
remember in
course.
Lille, it just happens. It's transcended through the ages. In Lille as well, like when I went to Lille, the calling I just didn't drop. I just didn't show up because I was too drunk for the night before. And apparently they were calling my name on the tannoy saying, "Aaron Francis, where are you? Where are you, Aaron Francis?"
Pro tip to anyone who wants to bail like that: you can still access your on your Gem ID on your phone, so you can just click drop on the phone.
Drop me out. I lost. Drop me after.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I played in the battle hardened as well, and that went okay. But I went really. I lost hard on the first game. It was against Levire, and I didn't have any arrows in the first 2 starting hands, which is just absolutely outrageous. It hasn't happened to me for a long time before. Hasn't happened to me for a long time, not having no arrow hands, but it just typically happens in the first round of the battle hardened against Levire, and the turn where I could have got back into it. They have 12 armor on board. They're just like, yeah, okay, block for 12, and then I'll just carry on smacking you for like 7, 8, 9, in one turn.
Yeah.
Carrying Husk and the Brute Armor Suite is just massive now, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I say unfortunately, but there's a lot of brutes are loving it. But Levire in general has 12 armor on board from the start, which is madness.
I mean, like, not Levia, but Yuki took KO like 11-0 at the battle hardened. So it turns out if you just keep printing cards for a class, eventually they'll just be really good, right? If you just print enough brute cards, then hey, now they're like kind of cracked.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I saw somebody say that on Twitter. I think that it was like, oh, they made KO good so that people would forget how bad Ice was and clamor for Ice to come back.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like it's a psyop. It's like a campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bolton, right? Because I remember Roger from the M&R podcast did really well with Bolton at an event, and I'm just like, yeah, you mean that's what happens when you just keep printing legendaries specifically for one hero. Like, eventually they'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. And when Ice doesn't exist, Bolton's trying to make things work with his hand is very hard because he has to put extra cards into things, right? So the Ice is just crippling for decks like that. But yeah,
Ice makes it so that really sort of, if I almost want to say efficient decks. Efficient feels like almost a bad descriptor for them, but decks that try to operate with very few resources, like pretty low to the ground, like Briar, like aggro Briar style decks, really crumble in the face of effective Ice.
Oh yeah, I hate it
because it's like, when Briar was at her peak and you're playing basically entirely reds all zero cost. You're like, I'm not expecting to spend resources on anything.
Like a single Lake Frigid just ruins your life. Like it's awful.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my god, it was like when I was the one story I have of getting to the top table in a skirmish. I was playing Chain when he was still legal, and my Icelander opponent, who I had beaten in like round 3 or something, we got rematched at the last table, and they landed a turn 1. I think they went first, and then on my turn 1, they landed a Lake Frigid at instant speed. I was like, okay, cool. They kept it around for like 2 or 3 turns, and then it died, and then they played a second one. And I was like, well,
yeah.
I didn't have a chance this game. There was no universe in which I could actually do anything here.
Yeah, so that's the magical equivalent of them just blowing up all of your lands. Like you just don't get to do anything. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's like I have blues, but it's like I can play a non-attack action, then attack with an attack, and then not use Rosetta Thorn, and so I've attacked for 3.
Yeah, just like block with 1 card. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But then talking about degeneracy, the other 2 games that I played in the Battle Hardened after that Levia were both wins. So I was 2-1 at that point, and they were both on. Because surprisingly, right, I tweeted out that I'm going to take a list which can use both Death Dealer and Sandscour Greatbow, and both of my wins came from using the Sandscour Greatbow this time. Because I feel like the Sandscour Greatbow allows you to dig a lot more and try and find the dominate that you need for certain matchups. And I tailored it in a way where if I was facing like aggro decks, or I was facing something that that wants to do a lot of things, I can try and dig for the thing that I need quicker. And lo and behold, that worked against an Azalea mirror match, which I had in the second round. So I beat them, and then I also beat a dash, which was like aggro dash style. So beat both of those decks fairly easily as well, which was nice. And then I just ran into a Dromai round 4, and then they raked the Embers 2 turns in a row, so I had 6 Ashwings to deal with. And I didn't find any poppers, so there was no chance for me, unfortunately. So 2-2 and drop from the Battle Hardened, and then just chilled out again, basically. But another thing as well, another interaction that was really horrible this weekend was in a CC side event. And that was when I was playing against Rhinoceros, who they go by on Twitter, who I followed recently, and they followed me back because obviously we met in the side event. And he was playing Rhinar, and he double blood rush bellowed me, and then came in for claws for 7, and then send packing for 10.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. Hey, shout out to Ian, who's probably listening to this, but I've played against Ian enough to have turns like that. You just it just happens. Like there's a stream, I think he clipped it, where he we're playing Blitz and he one-shot me. Like he just killed me. He intimidated my whole hand and just killed me. I couldn't do anything. I think I was playing Benji or something. Yeah.
I think I remember being on that call, and then I dropped, and then I could still hear you guys in the background as I was going to sleep.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't know why I left the call on for some reason. Maybe because the OBS had been set up and he didn't want to mess up the OBS stream because I joined the call. Perhaps.
Oh, maybe. That might have been it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that turn when I was hit by double blood rush bellows, I was just like, right, okay, fine. I'm going to be presented with a load of damage this turn. The only thing I can do now is come back with a dominated red in the ledger, which is what I had next turn to try and take a turn back. But the red in the ledger was in my arsenal. What does send packing do? If you can't block it, it banishes it forever. Brilliant. So all that setup that I had, the crackback that I could potentially have, send packing, now a fantastic brute on hit card, while reverse on hit, forcing that interaction is just something that I feel like they needed to have because the raw damage wasn't enough in brutes. But now they do have a lot more extra things because of this set, right? So yeah, I was on the wrong end of the stick for that one too.
I don't know. I feel so vindicated that I picked send packing as one of my top 5.
I mean, dude, it's a sick
card.
card.
It's crazy.
And you knew it would annoy me as well, and it really did.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. It really did.
A lot of the time, that's what I should do with our top 5s, is just pick the top 5 cards that I think are going to impact as the most negatively.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And then every time I come up with a new card and I start talking about it, Az will be like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna hate playing
I'm
against
gonna
this.
hate that card, and I'm gonna have a tail against it as well, or one of us will. We'll choose cards that we know the other person will hate. But yeah, that was a good week. Good week of Flesh and Blood. But I did enjoy my time in New York City. So I spent a few days there as well, and did like a load of touristy stuff while I was there. So I went to the top of the Rockefeller Center. All of this is on the vlog because I wasn't drunk at this point. This was actually a good vlog, walking around.
This is before I got hammered.
This is before I turned up to the event and got absolutely wasted. But yeah, that was nice. Taking the subway. Subway isn't. Subway is not a pleasant experience, but it makes you feel like you're a local if you do these things, right?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you have public transit over there then as well? What did you use over there to get around?
So Japan doesn't have Ubers or Lyfts, so it's all like public transit or like taxi, and taxi's like insanely expensive, especially if you're going from Narita Airport, which is like really far away from Tokyo. Hour-ish drive. And so I took the trains. I took, the Tokyo public train system, and like on my way from Narita Airport to my first hotel, it was pretty late in the day, like 6-7 p.m. And so I was just on there with all of the people getting off work. It felt like the most authentic experience. Everyone's just kind of like going home. I mean, like I took a lot of public transit living in California, so it was very like familiar to me. It's just like in a language that I don't speak, right? But still like pretty darn similar in a lot of ways. Shout out to the dude at Narita Airport info kiosk for writing me instructions on how the hell to get to Akihabara from Narita Airport. The instructions, I have them somewhere. They're
yeah, I saw your post on that.
They were helpful. Yeah.
Wow.
Because it wasn't too bad, but like if you just look at it, it looks really confusing from a glance because it's just this massive grid of all of these lines going everywhere and all these Japanese characters, and you don't know what the hell's going on and all what the numbers mean. If you know what lines to take, like I took like the Skyliner and like the Keisei line. If you know what lines to take, it's not too bad. So that's my big tip. Just figure out what line you're taking, and there's usually like a little circle that has like so Keisei, I think it was a KS or KK for it. Just look for that symbol and you should be good. Also Google Maps is really useful. But anyway.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I used while I was in New York, because Google Maps, if you click on the little icons that bring up the subway or the bus, it tells you which way it goes most of the time. So that it's very, very helpful. But
biggest challenge was getting money situated and then getting travel situated, because those are the two biggest things that I take for granted while traveling to events in the US. That's just super easy. Like I land at the airport, go to the lift area, schedule my lift, takes me to my hotel. I'm good. But in Japan, I needed to go there. I needed to get cash because Japan is a cash-based society. They don't use card a lot. I also needed to get like a everyone says get a Suica card, but long story short, they're out of Suica. They're out of Suica chips right now, so I had to get a different one. I got like a Pasmo. I had to get that sorted and then figure out how the hell I'm getting to the hotel. That was the most stressful part of the trip. Is just like the first 3 hours, like getting that sorted.
Oh yeah, it's just getting your bearings, isn't it? I imagine it's similar for when you turned up in Barcelona as well, Bill. Like you just like how do I get to the Airbnb? It's just basically when you get to a place, it's just like the anxiety of just getting to where you're going to be staying. Most of the time is the most stressful part. Once you're there and once you've met up with people that you're going to meet up with or whatever, it just seems to all fall into place because you're all speaking the same card game language to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of wild getting to Barcelona and trying to just find my way out of the airport. I just had no idea. I was just like, I'll go to every individual floor and see if there's some sort of signage that says like pickup or anything even remote. Because like being in Canada, I had like bilingual education. I don't speak French, but I have a lot of experience with French, and French is a very similar language to Spanish, both being Romance languages. And I was trying to find any sign that said anything similar to like pickup or taxi or whatever. And there was just nothing. I found myself in the basement of the airport that was completely empty.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Completely empty. It was like a scene at a Silent Hill. I was like, where the hell am I?
That okay. So there's no English? Like no like partial English
It
signs or
was-
anything like that?
There were, but there weren't any that were useful for figuring out where to go. I think it was all like just like like pictography where it was just images of stuff, but I must have missed where it said like because I think it wasn't even on the first floor. It was on the like second floor or whatever was the actual official pickup area. I could be wrong. People are gonna correct me. It was a while ago, and I was very like very sleep deprived at
Yeah.
that point.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was not the easiest thing in the world to find my way out of the Barcelona airport.
That was
as just a guy.
yeah, I was very proud of myself to get all the way to my hotel by myself, first time in Japan, not speaking the language. But the saving grace is there are some amount of signs that are in English. Not a ton, but there's a bunch that you can usually kind of figure it out. It felt like the same way some places are here in the US where like some things will be like English and then there'll be a little bit of Spanish, right? And then the announcements will be like in mostly Japanese and then there'll be like a little bit of there'll be like an English announcement afterwards. But yeah, that's the saving grace. It wasn't too hard to figure out, but at the same time, a little stressful, you know?
It's nice that you had someone there that was helped you settle in though, isn't it? It's always a lot better, isn't it?
The first day was like all me. So like day 2, like the last few days were much better. Like met up with Igni, who's been to Japan like 8 times. And then Sitsakris like speaks Japanese, and then obviously Yui from Japan. So it was like those are like cool. I got like the tour. Though I did have a couple times where I just wandered completely by myself. Which was a really cool experience actually. I recommend it. I actually do recommend it.
No, that's one of the things I like to do as well when I'm in a new place. Just walk around by yourself. I think it's quite therapeutic, to be honest.
I wouldn't have understood before I went on this trip, but I agree a lot. I posted on Twitter about how there's some sense of enjoyment about being a little bit lost, just like a little lost, not like crazy lost, but like just being a little lost, being not sure of yourself and not confident. I don't know. There's this, it's like an experience, like learning, and it's difficult to describe, but it's like a sense of wonder and discovery that I don't have in the States, because when I go to, even if I go to a state that I've never been to before, like when I went to Orlando or whatever, they're all the same, right? Like I just fly into the airport, like I said, find the lift area, do my lift, it doesn't matter. They just take me to my hotel, and then when I'm at the hotel, I'm like, okay, what restaurant do I want to go to or whatever. It's just like it's really easy. But being in a place that is completely different, where they do different things, and I don't know, it's an experience that I would recommend to people for sure.
Yeah.
I found like a freaking shrine in the middle of Akihabara. It had like multiple shrines, like an old Shinto shrine. Like, then I went there early in the morning. It was like raining. They had the gate open, so I was able to walk around it like by myself. It was
nice.
It was an experience, man. Like, yeah.
What was the weather like when you was over there? Was it raining or was it
very cold?
Was it?
Yes.
Nice.
It was very cold and raining, and on the last day it started snowing. So it started snowing when I was spending time with Yui, and by the time we got out of the card store, it was like snowing a lot. Yeah. No, it was great. It was the first snowfall apparently of the year. So yeah.
Fantastic that you got to experience that when you was out there. Good stuff.
Yeah, walking around Akiba at night in the snow. It's cool. Well, it was freezing. You and I were like, she had the umbrella. I didn't bring an umbrella because I didn't bring an umbrella on the trip. So we were just kind of like trying to not get completely drenched. Because it was like slushy snow.
Nice.
Good time. So yeah, recommended. Do it. If you do it by yourself,
Yeah.
don't be scared. Just it's a good experience, I think. I don't speak any. By the way, I don't speak any Japanese at all. So if you're worried, like, oh, I don't speak the language or whatever, you can get by just being polite and knowing a couple words. I think kindness goes a long way, and people can usually understand like your intent. So
Yeah. Well,
One
definitely
thing,
for sure.
I don't speak Japanese either, but I follow a lot of content creators like abroad in Japan that Az had mentioned earlier.
Yep, me too.
And just various people that give you techniques and like tips on how to speak Japanese as a tourist. And one of the most impactful things that has stuck with me is that there's a lot of loan words in Japanese, which means that there are words within the Japanese language that they use in their daily vocabulary that are borrowed from English.
Yeah.
That are basically transliterated into Japanese, into
yeah.
their like almost their sound font, for anybody that means anything to. So for example, if you're looking for a toilet, you can just say toire, because the Japanese for toilet paper is toiletto paper.
Yeah, like so. For the after party for the crew, the casting crew, and everyone for the Bushiroad Championship event, we were at an izakaya, which is kind of like a Japanese bar kind of thing, where it's like very traditional. A lot of businessmen drinking and stuff, and there was one dude next to me who was mostly doing the orders, but when the waiter came around at one point, I was able to order my own. That I was just like biru. I just held up one. Biru sumimasen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
beer.
Coincidentally, exactly how you pronounce my name in Japanese too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There is no phonetic difference.
Yeah. So like beer is just it's spelled like Beeru. It's biru, but you say biru. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to say one, so I just held up my finger. Just say sumimasen, biru. And he was just like, wrote it down. Came back with a beer. So yeah, that worked.
Hell yeah.
That's my dream, to be in an izakaya ordering bloody Sapporo or Kirin or Asahi from the locals. That would be a dream situation.
Yeah. It was also on the it was also on the Bushiroad tab, so I was able to order whatever I wanted with not have to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the food of the izakaya was like just, whatever. It's like basically bar food, right? So they'd bring you like little tiny plates. The little beef cutlets were pretty good, but it wasn't substantial like going to like an actual like restaurant or whatever. But that's not the point. The point was just to drink and go around. I learned a lot of like customs. So apparently a lot of the people would go around to the other tables and stuff, and they'd be like, cheers, kanpai, and thing I didn't know at first that so I was sitting next to another YouTuber. His name's Chris, Different Fight, who does like Cardfight Vanguard stuff, and he's from Japan. And one of the bigwigs came around, and we like did the glasses clink, and apparently I did it wrong the first time. It wasn't a big deal. The guy was totally fine. I didn't know until afterwards, but Chris was like, "Oh, just so you know, when you cheers with someone, if they are your senior, your glass needs to be lower than their glass. Like the top of the rim needs to be lower than the top of their rim, just to show respect." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm a fast learner, so that's just something I didn't know. So there you go."
It's amazing how much things you learn, isn't it? It's just great to see all these different cultures and how they do things.
Yeah.
Very, very enlightening.
Yeah. So like just lots of small stuff like that you just kind of pick up.
Yeah.
The vending machines are great. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I imagine. I was going to say, yeah. I mean, it feels like we've been in the Arsenal step for the whole episode, but that's all good.
That's kind of what today's episode really is, right?
But yeah, that's another dream. Another
big
dream
Arsenal step.
Yeah.
Ordering
from a vending machine on the street. That's
dude, there's vending machines everywhere. And one of the things that I noticed, at least where I was, there's a lot of like stereotypes that I found not to be true. Like there's a stereotype in the US of like, oh, Japan has all these weird vending machines with weird stuff in it. I'm like, No, there's just normal vending machines. They just have drinks and stuff. Like, there's not that. I mean, there might be some like weird oddball stuff in it, like some dog food or whatever. But like, nah, like most of the time it's just drinks and like
you couldn't have a bloody vending machine on the streets of Swindon. It'll be broken into within like 5 minutes.
They're everywhere, which is great because like I'm thirsty. Hey, look, 140 yen. Pop in a couple coins. Get a drink.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like citrus drinks, and I'm so glad that Japan is also a big fan of citrus drinks. So I was able to find like a tasty drink basically wherever.
Nice.
What it's there's a convenience store or a konbini everywhere. That's also true. They're just everywhere. Like walk a couple steps, there's one. If you want to go to one of the coolest parts about Akihabara, I'm not sure if this is true for all of Tokyo, but you can literally walk out of your hotel, pick a direction, and then you'll find convenience stores, other stores, restaurants, just everywhere. Like you don't even need a plan. If you're like, I want to go get lunch, just walk a direction and pick something. Like
yeah, because you'll see like mom and pop shops like doing
everywhere.
ramen and all this. Like yeah, it's just exactly like one. I saw this Sunflower Samurai guys posted on Twitter saying, all of us are walking around Liverpool right now for somewhere to eat. And I'm just like, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's true like that in the States too. Even in like the bigger city, maybe not in New York. I haven't been to New York, but like in LA, in Vegas, like, unless you're like on the Strip, don't go walk around Vegas, man. Like,
that's right.
Same for LA. Like, no, like plan out where you're going, and you probably want to get an Uber, right?
Yeah.
But like Japan everything is like so. At least once again, at least in Tokyo, it's like so jam packed.
Condensed.
Like, and then things are stacked on top of each other. There's a couple places we went to where like we walked like a couple steps past the actual place, and we're like, oh, it's this door instead of this door over here, and it's like on the second floor. Like, yeah. There's a lot of convenience too. Like, there's like kiosks where some places have kiosks where you can order your food. You don't even need to talk to like a person. You just hit the English button and then you just pick the pictures of the food that you want, and then it just we went to a place and a robot just delivered it to us. It was just a little robot came up to us and here's the food. I'm like, cool. You push a little button on the robot's face and it just turns around and goes away.
It's the same sort of feeling I got in New York as well, to be fair, because literally everything is so jam packed, and you can just walk from one district to the next, and it's so different and filled with things. Like I got a subway across the Brooklyn Bridge, and then in Brooklyn walked across the Brooklyn Bridge again, and then you end up in Chinatown. It's just like it's so diverse there, and everything. You turn a corner and you're just in a completely different subsect of community and culture. So I think New York is probably one of my favorite places I've ever been so far, because I did Brooklyn, which is the home of Jay-Z, and then I went over to Chinatown, and then I ended up in Koreatown for karaoke that night, and then I had a Katz's Deli, which is probably one of the most famous sandwich shops in the entirety of the US, which was so I experienced like 5 cultures in one day just by walking through New York, which was crazy.
I mean,
oh yeah,
they do call the US a melting pot.
Exactly, yeah, and I cannot wait to go back to Manhattan because it's just pure chaos there. And I was even messaging Bryn from the Banished Zone. I met up with Bryn and Chris from the Banished Zone while we were there as well. That they were cool, and they said that they have a lot of good metal bars in Brooklyn because they're from Brooklyn. So next time I go there, I have to hit up some of those. I didn't have enough time, unfortunately, but I just in general, this has been a bit of a traveling episode, really. But I think we're all in agreement that it's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, like we have been traveling a lot, but at the core of it, I mean, both Az and I traveled for card games, so it still kind of fits in this overall theme, right? Because I mean, there's a decent chance that other people out there will likely also travel for card games for whatever reason, whether like me, you're working the event for whatever reason, or if like Az, or you're like attending an event, or maybe sometimes you'll do one or the other. I think information can be useful, even though we're just kind of like sharing our stories, especially if you're someone who like has never been out before. because I know there's a lot of folks who just like maybe you've lived in your state or your city or whatever your whole life, and you've never been to another country or city.
I was speaking to the Realm Games about this actually, because obviously they're based out of Ohio, and not many of them have passports, so they can't, even if they wanted to, they can't travel out
Most
of the US.
people, I think I mentioned this. Most people in the US don't have passports.
That's right. Yeah, I remember saying maybe last year when we were speaking about you going to Barcelona. But yeah, I remember you saying that.
It's really not a thing you do unless you're specifically planning like a vacation or like a work trip. Like if you're not that, you don't have a passport. Or unless you have like maybe resident or like a family in Canada. But even then, some people just have these. The trip to Canada can be done two different ways. You can either fly into Canada, obviously, or you can just go by ground. And if you go by ground, you can have like a card. It's different from a passport book. It's just an ID card. That's all you need to get into Canada. So like some people have just that when they just drive up to like from here, they just drive up to like Vancouver or whatever. You don't even need an actual like passport book. So yeah, like it's just not a thing in the US. Maybe the country is just so big. Maybe it's just or our work culture doesn't allow people to take vacations very much. Some combination of that, but yeah.
I guess the US has every climate though, doesn't it? 'Cause it's so massive. So I guess you don't really have to. If you want to go on a beach holiday, you can just go to Florida, Miami, or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to the Rockies, I guess you can still get to Canada and that easily if you can get just a card to get in, sort of thing.
I mean, even if you wanted to go further, Alaska, right? You don't need a special thing to go to Alaska. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that's a US state.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like not land connected, so you have to do like a weird. So there's a route you can go without having to cross into Canadian borders. There's a weird like little, boat path, whatever that you can take, or fly.
Well, what do you reckon? What do you reckon then, Bill? What's your favourite city that you've been to? Because I know you've travelled a fair bit, haven't you?
In Canada?
Favorite city?
Just in general.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question because I've been to quite a few different places just by virtue of my parents being huge travelers. They travel everywhere. I will say, for like places that I enjoyed going, when I was younger, I actually got a really cool opportunity to go to France and Italy for like a school trip. And we went to a bunch of places. We went to like Pisa and we climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which, side note, apparently they're like officially giving up on. Like they're like, it is not savable at this point. It's crumbling, and they're just gonna like basically tear it down, because otherwise it'll just fall over eventually, and it's more work to keep it up than it is to whatever. But anyway, so I did get the chance to do that before it got torn down. We also went to Venice. Venice was awful. Not because it was bad, but because our tour was awful.
I've heard Venice is really smelly. Like
it is. There's a lot of stagnant water.
I bet.
Yeah. It was a nice place, but the tour that we went on just highlighted all of the churches and their associated wells.
Right. Yeah.
But I will say we did also get to go to. It's not really a city. It's like a township of Vinci, which is where, of course, Leonardo da Vinci was from. And his house has been redesigned or like repurposed into a museum for all of his stuff. I actually really liked that.
That makes sense.
But outside of that, I also really liked going to New Orleans, because I got to try like official or like authentic Cajun food.
Is that like the seafood, shrimp and stuff? Yeah.
Gumbo, alligator.
Like crawdads and crayfish, like Creole food and like Cajun gumbo and stuff. It was real good.
That's what Jim says a lot about. Jim FABTCG cards.
I prefer like the more red meat dishes than like the fish stuff, but no, it's good. Like Cajun gumbo with like some beef and like some corn in there and stuff. Oh, that's real good.
Oh,
that sounds good.
Yeah, big fan of gumbo. Big fan of chowder too. Honestly, I know that's not a Cajun thing, but shout out chowder. Big fan.
I mean, like, You just mention it to Jim, and he'll be like, "Yeah, stop by my house, and we'll fry up some, crawdads or whatever." He's really into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoy going places to like try out their food.
Yeah.
So that's really what sticks in my mind whenever I go places. Like when we went to Barcelona, a lot of the memories that I have honestly of Barcelona are like the food that I got to share with Az.
Yeah.
We went to like that 99 taco place. That place was awesome.
Oh yeah, we had a burger joint, we had the taco joint, and we had the bloody paella, which was literally right down next to the.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah,
it was
like that's one of the big things. I mean, obviously, I really would like to go back to Japan, but that's one of the big things. Is like I tried a lot of. I wanted to try like a wide range of food. I didn't want to just eat like I'm here to eat ramen for 6 days. I had ramen twice. It was amazing, by the way. And the place that Yui took me, Kyushu Ramen, was incredible.
Yeah.
But
nice.
I also had like a Wagyu burger. I also had pizza. The pizza was actually really, really good. I had wild boar. Very fatty actually. The meaty parts were good. The fatty parts, I'm not a big fan of the fatty parts.
That's what makes it really nice. It just like falls apart if it's like done.
It was like
whether it's done slow or slow.
It was like chewy fatty, not yeah. It was like gristly.
Okay.
What else did I have? I had like beef bowls that were really good, like the cheesy beef bowls. I got some from like Igny's favorite like Japan chain called Nakao. So we went to Nakao. We went to a couple like more chain like thing. Got like a Japanese egg omelet thing. I don't know. I wanted to try a lot of stuff, right?
Omurice.
Yes. Yep. I think it's the first meal I had was the omelet rice. Yeah.
There are a few things that I need to try. I need to go to Japan. Like I've wanted to go to Japan for a really long time. I need to go to Japan. And again, because I really want to eat things there, I want to try like traditional omurice.
Yeah,
I want to go to Family Mart and get FABTCG. Their fried chicken.
I got Lawson.
Yes.
Yeah, I went to a Lawson's one night, and I was just like, all right, this is when it was snowing, and Yui had already gone home. She had stuff to do, so I was like, I could go try to find a restaurant for myself, but I haven't gotten like combini food yet. So there was a Lawson's right next to my hotel. I just went to Lawson's, grabbed some drinks, and grabbed a bunch of fried chicken, and I just ate it. I just ate it in my hotel, looking out of the view. Chicken is good,
Yeah.
It's cheap, like really cheap.
Wonderful.
The food in Japan is so freaking cheap,
And like convenience stores have good cheap food. Like it is actually quality food. You can get yourself like onigiri. You can I need to go to Japan.
They had a bunch of stuff. Like little bentos of like whatever you want, like sushi, beef, whatever. Hey, if you guys want to go to Japan sometime and we can organize an LLP trip, that'd be rad.
That would be very good.
I would like to go back sometime. I have a feeling, like I said, there might be some Flesh and Blood events in Japan this year. So if that's the case, it's a really good excuse to go.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I very much would like to go back. There's some random stuff I just didn't do. I didn't have time. When I was walking back with Yui, before she kind of went off her own way back to her house, she asked me, she's like, oh, she's like, have you gone to a maid cafe yet? And I was like, I laughed and I was like, no. I feel too embarrassed to go by myself. So I was like, the next time I'm in Japan, I was like, you should take me to a maid cafe. It'd feel a lot less awkward going with like a girl, It wouldn't feel as weird to me. I don't know. It just yeah. So that's on the list, I guess, next time.
Yeah.
I do know because obviously in Japan there's a bunch of different ways to like say hello to people. There's depending on like honorifics and how your social status is compared to the person that you're greeting or whatever. I will say that because of a Warhammer 40K meme on Twitter, I do know how the maid would say hello to a new prospective customer. I'm gonna do this as my arsenal step because I think it's funny. It's really funny.
Okay.
I'm gonna pronounce it really poorly, but for any of the Japanese people listening, this is for you. Okairu nasaimase, Goshujin sama. And then the rest of the meme goes, "Welcome to the Naito Cafe," and then there's an impossibly loud war horn blast.
All right,
yeah,
Nice.
that basically means like "Welcome home, master."
The one thing that that I need to get down for like trying to talk Japanese is when they elongate the words, when they're like onegaishimasu or konnichiwa. Like I'm so like self-conscious. I'm just like konnichiwa, arigato. Like instead of like arigato gozaimasu, like kind of like. But they they elongate it a lot in like public settings. Yeah. Those are basically the only things I know how to say. Other than this is like the most important one that people don't tell you about. Sumimasen. Sumimasen means like excuse me or pardon me or please. I mean, you can use it in a lot of stuff, but that's if you're saying like if you're in the way of someone, or if you're trying to get past someone, or if you're trying to call a waiter or waitress. That's the good catch-all. That's a good one. And I found that most people knew enough, like a tiny little bit of English. So if I was like thank you, they would say thank you back. But yeah. Nice.
Anyway, I think we are now officially. I found the meme and sent it to our group chat. But I think we are now officially.
Find it
not that we were ever not in the weeds, but I think we are in the weeds at this point. So yeah, let's go to. I was gonna say again the Arsenal step, but I feel like this episode has just been one full Arsenal step. So if anybody's still hanging out with us, thank you for listening to our stories.
It's like a mech in a dress.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love this meme. Anybody who's interested, look up "Welcome to the Night Cafe." It is. I don't know anything about Warhammer 40k. I know that the community is really questionable in places, but I mean there are lots of communities that are like that. But anyway, I don't know anything about Warhammer 40k. I don't endorse Warhammer 40k, but I love this meme. It is so good. Welcome to the Night Cafe. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, 40k can be fun if you ignore all of the fashy parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know.
My brother has a friend that used to work at Games Workshop, and asked him one time, why is it that there are so many fascists in the Warhammer 40k universe? And he responded back with like a 10-paragraph rant about like all the reasons why it's built into the game in some capacity. Yeah, fun times. No shade to anybody who's normal that plays Warhammer 40k. Totally
I mean,
fun.
like
you do you.
They do say it's the grim dark future, so you know that's pretty grim dark. So yeah. Hey, I like the faction that's all like combat nuns with like flamethrowers and giant organ tanks and demon babies flying around. That's what I like.
I really like the faction that's just orcs that only know how to use. They can only use magic because they're so dumb that they believe that magic is real.
Yeah,
they believe it so hard that it is magic.
Yeah, so the orcs. By the way, if you didn't know, for 40k, this is also throw you for a loop. The orcs are also fungus. They're not like human. They're
like a hive mind.
Yeah, they're fungus. Yeah, wow. They're fungus, and Bill's 100% right. Not just for magic, all of their things. The guns, everything, all of it works because they believe it works. Like, most of their shit should not work, but it does because the orcs are just like, this is a big gun, it shoots big bullets, and then it does. Like,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces of lore of Warhammer 40k is that there's just a race of people that can use magic because they think it. They think really hard.
Good old Gork and Mork. Yo, like 40k is like insane. Like, I've actually watched like 2 and 3 hour long videos that are just explaining the 40k universe, and it's just insane. It's just insane crap. Which is why I was able to watch it for like 2 or 3 hours, whatever.
I mean, it's good if Flesh and Blood ever gets to that stage where you have loads of lore that you can look at and really get into. Because a lot of complaints about heavy hitters is that there isn't any right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they sorted their writer out, because if they got KO on, he would have done it by now. Just saying.
Would have happened.
Yeah. Like that's one of my biggest like legitimate like customer fan complaints for Flesh and Blood. It's not really a complaint because I guess it's a good thing to have, but I want more lore. Like, I just want more of it, right? And that's a good thing to have. If your fans are like don't care, then that's probably not great. But everyone's like, give us more of your stuff. So yeah,
Exactly.
so please, creative department, if you're listening, Robbie, Sam, I know some of you listen, Lindner, more, please.
This is directed at you, dear listener. Write more
Yeah.
stories for us.
I can
please.
actually see, getting back to actual Flesh and Blood stuff, I can see it actually being a little difficult for them, because we did know, as mentioned this, that Olympia was like a last minute include on the set. And so if he's a last minute include, like for like mechanically on the set, they probably didn't have any like backstory or lore prepared for him, right? So like that kind of stuff they'd have to like cook up and figure out where he fits into the overall narrative and all this stuff. I mean, they obviously had like Kasai, right? And she's got her story going on, and then like KO is, I don't know, got his arm bitten off or something, I don't know, but
Yeah, I imagine they had some sort of archetypical gladiator warrior style character though, which was the guy that we had before, or whatever we had before.
In the interview that James had, he said it was like a heel character who would always like taunt people and you know try to piss people off. So that's the character that he was originally, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so they just made a prize fighter guy.
Which I definitely want to play. So if you want to pick up cards as well, make sure you go to Fab Foundry, who has sponsored this episode.
Yeah.
And make sure you use the Living Legend 10 discount code for 10% off your singles for heavy hitters. So buy up all the stuff you need. I imagine they crack quite a few boxes.
I can gas up Fab Foundry, so they're local to me. That's the game store that I go to when I go to any pre-release or anything like that. They have a literal brick and mortar store here in Portland. Travis from Fab Foundry has been one of the early adopters of the game since Welcome to Wraith era. He and I like literally met and played for like 9 to 10 hours. Like before Crucible of War came, I remember just sitting down and playing just for a ton of time. So he's a huge supporter of Flesh and Blood, and really glad to have him supporting the podcast. And not only that, his store is really good. He ships stuff really fast. He cares about the orders. He ships them securely. I 100% support Fab Foundry. He's along the lines with like Jim, right? I consider like Fab Foundry and Jim like my two go-to single stores, right? If I want to buy Flesh and Blood singles from anyone, those are the two stores that I personally go to, and I'll see if they have whatever I want in stock. I usually look for weird stuff because I open up so many boxes, so it's usually like a Cold Foil Marvel or a Fabled or something. So one of them might not have it, and the other one might have it, but
yeah, exactly.
Recommend Fab Foundry. Get your 10% off, yo. Go get your go get your Marvel Rhinar or whatever. Yeah.
Go and check if you want it. Go and check if they got it. Living Legend 10% off. That's all you need. Which is a pretty good discount off of the big stuff. So if they've got the big singles in there that you want, 10% is, all adds up.
Yeah, man. $400 car, that's $40, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can save yourself some money and go buy a video game or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can as a plug, you can buy basically the entirety of the Yakuza franchise for $40.
Or you can be like me and buy half of Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is what I've been playing, and it is. I'm not going to talk about it here because I could talk about it too much, but it is very good. I adore the game. I'm a huge fan of the Grand Blue series, obviously, because I'm a huge fan of Psy games, and I'm so glad that the game is good. It's so freaking good, and it's getting like really good numbers on like Steam and stuff. People are popping off. I've seen people being like, "Why did Grand Blue copy Bahamut from Final Fantasy? It's such a ripoff." And it's just like, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, bro. Most of the people who work at Psy Games are former Square Enix employees. Like, anyway, so I've been playing.
I've been playing that. Internet nerds, very passionate people.
Absolutely.
The Grand Blue like Psy Games stuff is like the thing that I was like just personally super into and passionate about outside of content, and the fact that Shadowverse has a physical TCG now it's content for me as well. So it was the thing that I was into like in my own little thing. So yeah,
nice.
I'm sure everyone has something like that, whether it's 40K or Grand Blue Fantasy
or Yakuza.
Or Yakuza. I mean the Yakuza games are like really good. They're really fun.
They're incredible. Every single thing that I see now that another sort of Yakuza game is popular on social media, people will post either like the cutscenes or them in one of the mini games or whatever, and so many of the comments will be like, "What is Yakuza even about?" And that's a trick question because that is what it's about.
There's like some like crime family undertones and that kind of stuff, but also you can just go like play bowling or whatever and do gachapon. Yeah.
Have a totally reasonable, like well-made bowling mini game. There's like a Mario Kart clone in Like a Dragon that was really good. There's a slot car racing mini game in I think Yakuza 0.
I need to go and check out these games.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
I played a lot. I played a lot of two of them. I played Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 0. I think are the two that I played a bunch of. And there was like one that was like a fighting. They had a more robust like fighting system, and so there were like dudes that you could run into who did they take your money? I don't remember the exact mechanic, but I remember there was like this fighting like little sub game of like tiers of fighters and stuff. If you're a huge Yakuza fan, you'll probably know. Let me know in the comments what I'm thinking of. It's I think it might be Yakuza 0. I don't remember. It's been a while. Anyway, they're cheap. Bill says they're cheap, so go buy them. They're good.
Yeah,
this podcast has been a while.
Yes, I was about to say, we should probably wrap this up. So, once again, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We truly appreciate it as always. To go around and sort of sign off. Again, I've been Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on social media at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab, where we do live edited gameplay content. You should definitely go check us out. I do want to say that there's an episode coming out soon that features a deck that I'm a big fan of personally, that I get to play again, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm not going to fully spoil it, but people who know, they know.
Okay.
But yeah, you should definitely go give us a follow and see if that's something that interests you. And let's go reverse alphabetically. Kel, where can the people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Red Zone Rogue, youtube.com/RedZoneRogue, twitter.com/RedZoneRogue, and also Facebook and Instagram. I talk about card games, Flesh and Blood, a lot of anime card games recently, Grand Archive and Shadowverse. The big thing I have coming up real quick is I have the Grand Archive starter deck event in my community Discord. I will be posting about it the same day that this video goes live. I imagine tickets will sell out pretty quickly. It is a 40-player event, starter decks only, with participation pricing. I made 2 custom tokens for the event by some of my favorite anime artists, Honshu and Lucky Yuki. Every participant gets 1 token each, as well as a silver prize pack, $20 entry, and we'll have raffles and all that kind of good stuff. So that's my big thing that I'm putting on. It's gonna be really, really fun. So Grand Archive starter event. If you want more info, it'll be on my socials. So yeah. How about you?
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just how about you, Az? I was just gonna toss it to Az. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna also flip it over to Az. So
yeah.
So I'm Az from Go Again Gaming, Go Again Gaming AZ on Twitter.com. Is where a lot of my raw thoughts go, and that's a lot. That's pretty much what my content is these days. Is just uploading stuff when I feel like I should, or posting a tweet out when I feel like I should. A lot of it is on social media at the moment, so I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do like consistently this year. But you can see me at events. I recently did the Hartford couple of vlogs there, so you can go and have a look at the debauchery that happened on there. That's on Go Again Gaming on YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much it at the moment. So yeah, stay tuned, I guess. And the Living Legends podcast each week, of course. No doubt. Should
get back to a more normal schedule.
Yeah,
yes,
now that everybody's back, should be fine. I'm gonna be in, for anybody who's listening that cares about Magic stuff, I'm going to be in Chicago for the MagicCon that's happening. It is the weekend of the... I'm just trying to look at my calendar past my camera here. The 24th.
Yeah.
I believe. It's like the 22nd to the 25th, or the 23rd to the 25th. I will be there for Spike Feeders things in general. I am not really a Magic Spike Feeder. I am in some capacity, but really not that much. So I'm just going to be there to chill and vibes. If anybody sees me, feel free to come up and say hi.
Yeah.
I may or may not be into jam some games, but you don't get things unless you ask. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
both I've talked to 2 people recently who are going there as well. The professor will be there because he and I are planning some collabs, but we're like, hey, let's wait until the Chicago thing's done, and then Yui will also be there. So, hey, yeah,
yeah, I'm
Nice.
excited to see the professor again. I'll see if I can convince him to go out for a drink or something. That'd be really fun.
yeah. I'm sure you guys can rope him into to something if he's not already like jam packed full of stuff.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Yeah, he,
But
busy dude.
yeah, but yeah. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks everybody once again for hanging out with us. We really appreciate your support. Thank you as always, Az and Kel, for the chat today. Great to see you guys again and to catch up.
Yes.
And yeah, everybody at home, stay well, stay safe. We'll catch you all in the next episode.
Peace.
Cheers. Peace. Love it. Peace.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Impossibly loud war horn blast.
Brrrr.